All right, so welcome back, fellow escapees. So in today's video, I want to talk about, is Elon Musk going to have to file for bankruptcy? Like, would Tesla go bankrupt? Is it even possible? So Elon Musk has just been so controversial. The man himself, his companies, everything, since he first landed on a scene, since we first were made aware of who he was after he sold PayPal. So as you guys know, he has hijacked our presidential administration, and some people, even the people who were rooting for him in the past, are now turning on him. There are lots of people reporting that Tesla cars are being damaged and destroyed. Tesla dealerships had a Cybertruck set on fire and cocktails thrown through the windows. And so Tesla as a company is receiving a lot of backlash because of the things Elon Musk is saying openly in public, as well as his, Hitler's salute he did during the presidential inauguration. So I wanted to discuss what, and I also want you guys feedback if you want to drop a comment below, because I want to talk about today, like, could this guy go bankrupt? I mean, he was literally looked like he was about to cry the other day when he was sitting down with a news reporter. And a news reporter asked him, does he regret some of the things he was saying, as well as some of the things he's been doing since he's been a part of Trump administration? He looked, I don't know, I almost felt a little sorry for him. He actually looked like he was gonna cry. I think he was starting to realize a little bit that, he can't just come out and say some of the things he's been saying and doing the things he's been doing without there being some repercussion to his company. Now, Elon Musk is worth about close to $400 billion. That's a hard number to say, to think that one man is worth almost $400 billion. And he recently lost about $130 billion of that. And I don't know if it's still decreasing as of today. I'm sure it is dropping slowly on a daily basis. But in the last 2 months, he has lost about $130 billion of his net worth. Now, that doesn't mean he's still not a billionaire. He still has plenty of money to keep going. But at the same time, the way that the American people are, and people even outside of this country are starting to feel about Elon Musk, his company is facing so much backlash right now that we could actually bankrupt Tesla by no longer supporting Teslas and any company that Elon Musk is a part of. Now, I personally don't own a Tesla. I think they're spy machines on the road, and I'm just not a fan of their slick interior. They just don't look like traditional cars to me, and I'm a big fan of cars. I love cars, and I talked about that in my video when I talked about debt in car loans. So I'm a big fan of cars. If I could have a wider selection of vehicles, I sure would do it, because I do love them. But of course, I want to be able to pay cash for them. I don't want to finance them. But I want to talk about Elon Musk. So I feel like Elon Musk is starting to feel it, and he's going to be feeling it in the coming months. I think karma is, that word. They say karma is we're not going to say the actual word on here, but y'all know what I mean. I think that this is the time where he kind of overstepped his boundaries. And what I mean about that is people have known Elon Musk as this innovator, this, visionary for the future of technology and space and things like that in the automobile industry. But once he came into the presidential election, I think he's stepping on a lot of people's toes, and especially the fact that he's not considered an American citizen, and that people are starting to wonder what his true agenda is for having so much influence in our presidential administration. I'm gonna go off the subject just a little bit, just to say that, like, when they say that any American can become the president of the United States, I no longer believe that. I used to believe that, but I think that looking at the past presidents, it seems like they all have some kind of lineage to each other or family ties, and it seems like they all have to come from very affluent families. So I feel like we're being lied to as an American people about who's really in control of this country. I just think it's, looking back now, I think it's all been a lie, and it's probably just to keep us in check and to make us feel like we have some kind of say in our country. I'm not really sure if that's true anymore. I think that it's controlled by people who are very, very disconnected from the average American people, and I'm sure other countries feel this way too, you know, the government and the president and the people in power, I just don't feel like they really genuinely want what's best for us. I think they do what's best for themselves first, and then we get the trickle down effect of what that is. So I don't think it mattered who is in office. I think they're puppets. I think that they are, you know, like I said, they're super affluent. And I think the president is more like the person who is like put up there as the spokesperson for the country, of course. But I feel like on the back end, there's a lot of people that run this country that we don't get to see their face. And those are the true owners of this country and our monetary system. I don't think we have as much leeway and say so as we think we do, or we're made to believe that we do. That is just my opinion. If you don't agree with it, it's okay. You can, you know, you're very smart. You read as much as I do. So you may have your own theory on what's going on, and it's okay. I want you to have your theory and your beliefs because, you know, together we can come to a conclusion of what is best for ourselves and our country. So I don't know what just happened there. Okay, so I had some stats because there is what I wanted to talk about. Another thing is the company is having so much problems right now that they had to get our current sitting president to go out and do like an advertisement or TV, they call it like a little TV commercial, because they had a press conference for him to promote Tesla vehicles. And I don't remember in the history of our country of us ever doing that. But of course I haven't watched every presidential press conference and things like that in my lifetime. But I just don't remember a president going out trying to make a commercial and promote one vehicle over, you know, just an example. Ford is an American-owned car. Well, I think they outsource a lot of their parts right now. But, you know, American-owned vehicle, and there's others. And I just don't remember a sitting president going out promoting any vehicle over another vehicle. And then Trump also said that if you are caught vandalizing a Tesla, you will be considered a terrorist. And there is actually a community right now in Ohio. It's called, if you guys want to look this up, because I'm not gonna put the clip in this video, but if you want to look it up, it's called Lincoln Heights Neo-Nazi Rally. There's an actual rally going on, I think it was last week, in a part of Ohio, Lincoln, Ohio, where it's a small town of predominantly black people, and neo-Nazis decided to come and march down the street. The residents had to arm themselves, and they have to go pick up their kids from the school bus and take their, get their kids home safely. In their community has a 24-hour watch now because of this. That is a terrorist. I'm not saying people vandalizing a Tesla isn't bad, but what I'm saying is the president was worried about a Tesla being vandalized, and there's a community of people who are being terrorized by another group or race of people, and the police did not arrest any of those people. I think the government hasn't done anything about that, and it's called, like I said, Lincoln Heights, Ohio. If y'all want to look up that news report, just put it into YouTube, you'll be able to find that report. So Trump is protecting Elon Musk at all costs. Now, could Elon Musk go bankrupt? When Elon Musk sold PayPal, he put from what I understand, from what he's told the public, dollar that he had into building out Tesla and that SpaceX. So he was left with nothing. Meaning, according to what I read, if that fell, that fell. Like, that was every last bit of his $1 billion he got from selling PayPal, his share of PayPal. Now, the American people, the way things are going, and there's a lot of people who own Teslas that decided to give up their Teslas and sell them. There's people who were for Elon Musk who are turning on Elon Musk right now and speaking out against him. The way that things are going, the American people could bankrupt Elon Musk. They could stop supporting his products and his Twitter account, Twitter, and they could really put him in a bad financial position, because Elon Musk's money is tied up in a lot of the stock. He owns a lot of shares of these companies. So he is being paid in equity, like Beyonce say, pay me in equity. There's a reason why CEOs are paid, majority of their pay is in equity, and it has a lot of tax advantages as well, because they get to borrow or live off that money without paying taxes on it, because they never have to sell that stock. So they just borrow against that stock, and then they could, when they whatever, get 100 million, 200 million, whatever they need to live off of to pay their housing expense or their living expense, they live off that, but they never actually sold a stock. So therefore, all that money for them is tax free. So that's another strategy if y'all didn't know about that. So that's why a lot of them receive it in equity and stock. So if the stock is decreasing, Elon Musk's net worth is decreasing. Elon Musk may not have actual liquid cash of $1 billion in a bank, or he may have $1 billion, but if he's worth 200 billion right now, because it dropped a little bit on him. So if he's worth about 200 billion or 250 billion, and I don't know how much of that is actually liquid versus the stock option, but I believe, for what I understand, over probably 70% of that's probably stocks, or 80%. So he has a high, and if I'm wrong about that number, guys, I'm like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not in this guy's bank account. I wish I was, but I'm not in his bank account. I don't know his actual holding, like everything he has. But what I'm trying to say is, if his stocks collapse and his company collapse, then it could definitely bankrupt him. But I'm sure he has some liquid that will hold him over until he can rebuild something else. But by him being a part of the presidential administration, what I think is going to happen, even if the American people boycott Tesla, what I think he's going to pull on the American people is he's going to get a bailout. And then I think that's how he's going to be able to recover. He's going to get a bailout, stuff that the average person cannot have access to. And the way that they're going to spend that on the American people is and it's going to be our tax dollars, just so you guys know, our tax dollars. And the way that they're going to spend that on the American people is they're going to say, well, he creates jobs. He creates companies. We need more companies that create jobs and know how to create jobs in our country. So we have to save his company in order for us to save these jobs. So speaking of jobs, in between 2023 and 2024, Elon Musk and Tesla laid off 10% of their workforce, and that equated to about 14,000 workers from the number I received. And I just feel like even if some of those workers had to take a pay cut, Elon Musk, if he just stayed where he was as far as running SpaceX and Tesla, and stayed out of the presidential election, he probably would have been able to continue to grow his business. But he has enough income to save those people's jobs. His income alone could save those 14,000 jobs. Even if those employees had to take a slight pay cut, he makes enough money where he did not have to cut those workers. So I feel like it's I guess it's called retribution to him. Like he's feeling the karma of, kind of like God, like the karma of what he's doing to people. He's gonna start feeling it. And like I said, it may not completely 100% bankrupt him or put him out of business, even though I think the American people have the power to do that. What I think is going to end up happening is going to lower his net worth significantly if he keeps up the charade he's been doing since he's been a part of this administration. He needs to sit back, and work on what he was working on, which was creating jobs for the economy and building, the futuristic cars or whatever. Because right now he's hijacked our Federal Reserves, our like banking systems. He has access to a lot of private information about the American people. He is just, we just don't know what his true motive is as a foreigner coming into this country and having so much access to our system. And by him doing that Nazi salute during the presidential election, it just kind of shows you that anyone who does that is not a person that really cares about how they're treating a human life. They don't value a human life, because that is not what that represents. That represents death. It represents like overthrowing people. It represents hatred. It represents racism. So I think his true feelings were shown that day when he decided to do that. And I don't know, you know, I was always told the Jews run the United States of America. And so I don't know how much, I don't know if he's just being protected right now. He's able to, you know, get away with a few things because of his wealth. But at the same time, I think they will knock him back into his place and let him know this is still our country and we run things. You're able to build, you know, set up shop here. But at the same time, you know who's in power, you know who's in charge. So going back to the workforce thing with Tesla, in 2025, as of this year, I think they have laid off up to 20,000 people. I don't know if this 14,000 is just another 5,000 added. The number I got total was 20,000. So I don't know if that's including the 14,000 or an additional 20,000. But it just goes to show, like, Tesla is hurting. And people are not playing with Elon Musk. Like, he has to get himself together, or he has to close down shop and get out of this country. Because, you know, a lot of people are being affected by his decisions, and a lot of families are being affected by his decisions. So I just wanted to say that I do believe he could go bankrupt. I do believe there comes a time where almost anyone in power could lose their power. I don't think Trump has enough money to save Elon Musk, but I do believe Trump has enough power and friends where he can probably get him a bailout. And that's going to cost the American taxpayers. And you see how they're closing down or trying to dismantle the Department of Education. And they're trying to close organizations or close down things in the United States that people feel like were benefiting them in some way or form. They're trying to shut that down and reallocate that money. But where, you know, we got to really track where are they putting that money. Is it really paying down debt, or is it putting it back into their pockets? Because you have two people who do not like being told what to do, who don't take orders from others, not even Congress or whoever's in charge. They don't want to follow the checks and balances we have in this country. They are illegally firing federal workers. They're not giving them the proper, from what I told, federal workers have a certain level of protection, and they're not giving them a certain level of, like, they're firing them for reasons that are not in line with the reasons you fire a federal worker. So you have these two guys that are trying to take over, and we know Trump has had financial problems in his past, so we don't know really their motive to, where, like, they could tell us one thing, but for some reason I think it's something else going on in the background. You know, what we're told and what is actually the truth are two different things. We're told one thing so we can stay, so they can keep us in check as the American people, and then, but they usually, you know, take our money and do whatever they want with it, and then tell us to go back out and vote again. It was that president. It's almost like we get scammed, and then they go blame it on the next president, and then the next president, and then they go blame it on the next one. And I don't care what party you're a part of. It seems to be happening in both parties. I don't really care what party you're a part of. It seems like they just go from one person to the next and just say, this is why we're still suffering as a people. This is why. And it keeps the American people fighting with each other. I noticed that too. People go generations after generations and they're fighting amongst each other. And the real kind of like enemies are the people up there. It's not your neighbors. It's not your spouse. You know, they just have you fighting with your neighbors and your spouses or your family members over trying to take sides with one or the other, but they're both a part of the same group. Like, they're all in it. They're all friends. They're all in on it together, you know. But yeah, that's all I want to say for this video. You guys drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this whole Tesla thing going on right now with the stock prices dropping, does this mean you're going to be buying more of Tesla stock? I know a lot of mutual funds in things that we invest in own a share of Tesla, so that does affect our portfolios. But I just want to know, what do you guys think right now? Are y'all going to be buying more of the stock as it goes down, or do y'all think this could be the end of Elon Musk and Tesla? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below, and make sure you hit that notification bell, because I'm dropping a lot of videos. And if you don't have that notification bell turned on, you're going to miss so much great content that I'm putting out right now. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and check out the free webinar if you're interested in planning your corporate escape or preparing for this new shift in the economy and the market. Make sure you guys reach out so that we can come up with a plan to help you with your career, as well as help you with your finances. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a blessed day.